So here's what you missed on The Crucible. It is now a week later and Martha Corey's court case is underway. Giles storms in and says that his wife's accusations from Putnam are lies because Putnam wants to take their land and he has proof, and we are introduced to Danforth and Haythorne, the two people in charge of the court proceedings. Mary Warren and John Proctor arrive. Mary is too scared to speak, but Proctor produces a sworn statement called a deposition that claims Mary and Abigail and the rest of the girls never saw any spirits and that they were just pretending, and Paris is like, "They've come to overthrow the court!" But Danforth's all like, "Dude, shut up." Mary Warren eventually speaks and confirms that she and the girls made it all up, and Paris is like, "She's a big liar." Proctor says that he's only there with the purpose of freeing his wife and not to overthrow the court. Danforth tells Proctor that Elizabeth is claiming to be pregnant, but they examined her and can find no evidence of it. And Proctor's all like, "My homegirl never lies. If she said she's preggers, then preggers she be."
Oh, that is whack!
Danforth agrees to read Proctor's deposition. There are 91 names on the list of people saying they never saw the accused ladies deal with the devil, and Paris starts shouting, "It's an attack on the court!" again. And Hale steps in and says, "For the love of God, man, can't anybody defend themselves without it being called an attack on the court? You're such a tool." And even though it's likely everybody else probably agrees that Paris is in fact a tool, Danforth asks Cheever to arrest all 91 people who signed the deposition anyway, and says they'll have nothing to fear if they're of good conscience, but then says that people are either with the court or against it, which would suggest that those 91 people actually have a lot to fear. Giles then presents his deposition claiming that Putnam is forcing his daughter Ruth to falsely charge people with being witches so that he can buy up all their property cheaply when they are hanged. Proctor then produces Mary's deposition that says that she and all of the girls have been lying all along, and none of them saw the devil, danced with the devil, or even ate deviled eggs for that matter. Haythorne, Paris and Danforth read the deposition, and Paris immediately starts to say that he wants to question them himself. But Danforth finally loses it and says, "Shut up, Paris, shut up! If you talk again, I'll slap the taste out of your mouth." Cheever turns up with the girls and Danforth says that Mary says they've all been lying, but Abigail is like, "Nah, it's Mary who is lying." And then says Elizabeth Proctor has always kept poppets in the house. John Proctor says that this is a lie and that nobody could say they've ever seen a poppet in his house. And Paris pipes up and says that the whole point of these proceedings is to discover things that cannot be seen. And everybody's like, "Oh man, I really wish I could hurt this guy."
Oh my God, can you just be cool? Once, please. Just once. Can you just once be cool? Once. Please.
Danforth asks Abigail if maybe she just imagined all this stuff instead of actually being afflicted, and she gets all indignant saying, "I can't believe this, I'm just trying to do the right thing, and I'm being accused of lying, I'm well offended." Then Abigail starts to shiver and looks up to the heavens, looking frightened, talking about a cold wind and shadows falling over her. The other girls start to join and ask if Mary is sending her spirit to hurt them, and Mary thinks, "Oh man, these chicks are crazy," and tries to bolt for the door. Everybody is starting to freak out again, but then John Proctor grabs Abigail by her hair and pulls her to her feet, and while everybody's like, "Dude," Proctor yells out that he has known Abigail, meaning that he had an affair, and everybody's like, "What?" And Proctor's like, "Yep, we made the boom boom, and that's why she's saying this stuff, so she can have my wife killed and be with me again, and the only thing my wife's ever done was to know a whore when she sees one." And some people are probably thinking, "Dude, lay off on the whole whore bizzo. She's just a kid and you're not exactly blameless in all this." But then Proctor's all like, "It's a whore's vengeance!" So then everybody's like, "Alright man, jeez." Danforth asks that Elizabeth be brought out, and says that if she's never lied like Proctor said, then they'll just ask her if all this is true, and if she says it is, then Abigail and the girls are going to be in a stack of trouble. But Elizabeth comes out and thinks that she's protecting John and denies it ever happened. But Hale believes Proctor anyway and says that he always thought Abigail was a liar. Abigail suddenly starts pretending that Mary is sending an invisible yellow bird to attack her and the other girls' faces.
"I thought I saw a pony cat."
And all the other girls join in, screaming and freaking out. As they scream, Mary finally flips out too and starts screaming that Proctor is the devil's man and that he said he'd murder her if Elizabeth hangs and that she had to help him overthrow the court. Danforth is buying all of this and turns on Proctor, who responds by shouting, "God is dead!"
Damn.
Which is up there with the worst things he could have said at that particular point in time. Danforth calls for Proctor and Giles' arrest. Proctor calls Abigail a whore again, and Hale quits the court. And that's what you missed in Act 3 of The Crucible.